What's up everyone, it's Adam from Life of Adam. Today I'm back with a brand new video. And today's video I'm going to be talking about how to save someone who is drowning as a lifeguard. Now obviously when you take the lifeguarding course, they'll get into all the specific techniques and the names of all the rescues and the approaches. However, in this video I'm going to give you guys the must-do tips so that when you're doing these rescues and you're implementing what you learn in the course, you're able to do it when you're live on the job. Now before I dive into this, if you guys are new to the channel, I'll make a bunch of lifeguarding content about how to pass the course, how to pass the pre-test, how to pass the final exam, how to be a successful lifeguard, basically everything you need to know. So definitely consider subscribing and liking the video if you're new to the channel. Now tip number one, the most important thing when you're a lifeguard and someone is in danger and they're drowning and they need your help is to reduce the amount of time that they're in that vulnerable position. We call it like turnaround time. So if I'm someone who's not paying attention, let's say I'm on my phone and they became submerged and they were underwater for 30 seconds, those 30 seconds drastically impacts the percentage of whether or not he's gonna live or not. So when you're a lifeguard, you wanna notice things and act on them right away. That's why you have multiple lifeguards at a pool, multiple lifeguards at a beach. That's why we do this thing called scanning, where you're checking the entirety of the pool, below the surface, above the surface, on the pool deck. We wanna make sure that when we're lifeguarding, the turnaround time from me noticing the victim and me saving the victim is really, really quick. So tip number one, you wanna be actively scanning. You do not wanna be daydreaming. You do not wanna be on your phone. And you wanna make sure that once you see the victim and once you recognize that they need your help, that you immediately go to step two and that you're getting there as fast as possible. Now tip number two, we call this like the approach phase. When you're approaching the victim and when you're acting on the victim, you wanna get there as fast as possible. However, your movements need to be controlled. You don't wanna be super fast and clumsy where you miss crucial steps, you get tangled with the rescue tube, you don't use the right approach, you're not grabbing the victim properly. Let's say they have a head, neck, and spinal injury. If you're not stabilizing the head because they're so focused on trying to get them out of the water as fast as possible, that will really mess up their neck and really mess up their spine. So you wanna make sure that you're implementing the right techniques, you're approaching very cool, very calm, very controlled. However, you're getting there very quickly. Now, number three, when you're saving someone in the water, so let's say they're active, so they're talking, they have a pulse, you wanna comfort them. So when you get to the victim, you wanna ask if they're okay, you wanna escort them to the nearest wall, to the shallow end. You don't wanna overwhelm them with questions like, what happened, what did you do, right on the spot, because obviously they're in a state of shock. But you do wanna comfort them, say that you're there to help them, walk them through what you're about to do. So like, hey, I'm just gonna bring you to the side, we can hop out, get you some water. You kinda wanna ease the moment a little bit because their heart's racing, they're obviously thinking about a lot of different things and they're in a state of shock. So just kind of comfort them, reassure them, and just escort them to safety. Tip number four, if this is a victim that is passive, so let's say they're underwater, they're swallowing a bunch of water, they're not alert, they're not awake, they're not talking, you need to communicate with everyone around you to get things that you need. So you'll need a backboard, you'll need to get 911 involved. This is something you have to escalate to the next level. You need to activate the emergency action plan, which is different based on places that you work, but it has the core fundamentals to it. Getting 911 involved, CPR, AED, first aid, getting the backboard, making sure the scene is safe, making sure people are being escorted from the pool. So now here's my last tip, tip number five. When you're a lifeguard, there's rescues that you do more often than others. The most common rescue is like the frontal active victim where you just take the tube and you tuck it underneath, or maybe you're approaching from behind them and you kind of hook their arms and you use the tube underneath to support you and the victim. There's gonna be rescues that you don't do that often, which is like passive victim, head, neck, and spinal. My recommendation is that do the rescues that you're the most comfortable with. If there's different variations, do the variation that you like doing the most. So if you're someone who's not that good at approaching from behind the victim and hooking the arms, then position yourself in front of the victim so you can tuck the tube underneath them. Vice versa, if you're someone who doesn't like the front rescue, just make sure you swim and quickly maneuver yourself so you can do the hooking of the arms. You wanna make sure that you're doing rescues that you're comfortable with and you're good at. I recommend you get good at both of those because those are very common. But let's say there's one where you grab the wrist and you kind of do the big loop and you kind of turn the victim around when they're passive in shallow water. You can do a different variation of that where you go underneath and you hook them over if that's something that you're more comfortable with. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Comment down below if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next upload. Thanks so much. Peace out.